I tend to see all these kind of patterns or philosophies that kind of keep coming at you in just different forms. And I think this is for the simple reason that everything that we know is a part of itself kind of thing, right? Like we think of even man-made things being perhaps out of touch with us, but like we created those, the earth created us, the universe created the earth, however you want to look at this. And I think that's why you tend to see these patterns coexisting continuously. And today what I'm going to do is, I guess first off I should mention, I don't know how many of you guys actually know, but before I've been doing my coaching and consulting, before I started this YouTube channel, I played poker, and I played poker for a living for about 6 years. And as I was doing this, I was constantly relating patterns of playing poker to life, because as it being my job, as it being something I was very passionate about at the time, it was how do I play my very best, what is optimal game theory, what's the best decisions I can make. And when you break poker down into all these different intricate sections, you realize that it's very relatable to life, and certainly life is some type of game. That's how I look at it, at least, where you're kind of like this little RPG character, and you can gain skills in different areas and level up in them. But it's not like Mario Brothers where you got like the 6 little lives, you only got like one of those. And I think that causes people to play the game pretty small. Whereas the way I look at it, I'm like, I only got 1 life left, like, better have as much fun as I can, better figure out whatever it is I want to figure out. So today is just one of those examples that I have of taking these two things and comparing them. So today what I want to talk about is, if you were to break down poker into like one question of what's the best way to win, what's the best way to earn the most, what's the best way to play your best, it would be decision making. It would all get broken down into decision making, because it's not just one hand, it's not just one tournament, it's all the decisions you make every time your thought is met with a problem. So in poker, it's going to be pre-flop, on the flop, turn, river, whenever there's a bet towards you, anything. Anytime your mind has to kind of shift and evaluate the situation on new information. So a new card comes up, a player says something, something happens. And what you're supposed to do is make the most positive EV decisions that you can possibly make. And what positive EV means is positive expected value. And what that means is, if you make this play, you're going to make money in the long term. And you can kind of think about it like you have one particular hand, and there's programs where it's just running math equations, and you can throw it in this simulator, and it will simulate how often this hand will make money and how much over the long run, and how positive EV it is or negative EV it is, meaning that it was a poor decision, one that will lose you money in the long run. And I compare this into life, and I kind of use it as one of my tools for problem solving, where I'm like, okay, is this positive expected value or negative expected value? And you can break this down in many different ways, but what I kind of think is, I'm like, positive EV, like happiness level, like how happy am I going to be if I make this decision? And like, is there going to be short-term pain for long-term happiness, or long-term pain for short-term happiness, or however it works? And we don't have some sort of simulator online where we can just plug our life in and it's going to tell us what the answer is. But we do have a mind that works like a computer, and we can kind of compute what's best for us, what we need. And I use this a lot with all the decisions I make, where, you know, is this going to be good for me or bad for me, essentially is what you're doing. But this doesn't just have to be happiness. And in poker, it's certainly not. It's how much money am I going to make? And sometimes you'll even see, like, this is positive EV, I'm going to gain $400 from this. but there's another play where I can gain $900 from this. So that's the most positive EV. So first is determining whether it's positive, whether it's negative, and then it's determining what is the range of this thing. So what is the maximum amount of money I can acquire, and what is the minimum, and then how do I acquire that maximum. And as you can kind of see as I go on here, there's many things that relate to life. And that's because life is about making decisions. Poker is about making decisions. It's your mind, it's the you. So yeah. And I guess there's just one more I'll kind of tap into a bit, which is you tend to see over time, after playing thousands and thousands of hands, after playing online and online, the patterns that exist within people's minds. And they're the same ones that exist within my mind. And when I see other people's weaknesses, I can see my own. When I see their strengths, I can see my own. So there's this mirroring thing going on, which is always an interesting part of life. But more importantly, it's kind of given me this database of information I can tap into. And I see when others and myself make poor decisions. And it's when they're emotionally distressed. It's when this is a good situation where you have a hand. Say you're in the small blind, for those of you that actually play. I know a lot of this poker talk might go over some people's heads, but just kind of bear with me. And you defend and you end up losing a lot because you're out of position. This is a particular place where a lot of people will lose money. And it's not bad that you're losing money, it's sometimes the best decision is going to be negative EV. That's just the way the hand's played. That's just the way your life is right now. But it's, again, that question of what is the most optimal, least amount of money you can lose, and what's the most. And making that decision that brings you to the least amount of money that you're losing, if it is a negative EV situation. And when people get in these spots, no one likes having something shitty happen to them in life or in poker. And this is a common spot where people will make mistakes. And you can see that in life as well. And this is kind of a momentum thing as well, where one bad thing happens, you're more likely for another. Or when a good thing happens, it's more likely for another. So yeah, just some food for thought. I find these things interesting because really what I'm doing is I'm examining the inner workings of our minds as a collective, because we are very similar. We all, although our situations may be different, we have similar gear, so we can kind of discuss it and find what the best thing is for us. So I just think it's super cool. Human optimization, brain patterns. So that's it for today. I'm sure I'll be making a future series on small things like this, so be sure to check in for that. Peace.